Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be working on the 66 Mustang, the blue one, and it's almost done. I got the engine bay all nice and detailed. Let me show you guys that, but it does need a few things that I found when I test drove it yesterday. So you guys can see here the engine bay is nice and detailed. Hopefully you guys can see that. There we go. And it's looking really nice. I'm very proud of the way it came out. It's just a nice little jewel underneath the hood, you know what I'm saying? But I did find a small exhaust leak. I think it's coming from the back gasket on the down header. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that. We're gonna inspect it first and then go ahead and replace it. But besides that, it's all done. I mean, it's perfect. It drives great. It stops great. No weird noises besides that exhaust leak. But besides that, it's all set to go. So I just wanted to bring you guys along and show you guys what I do. And just kind of give you guys a little bit of a better idea of what needs to be done. The main thing with these old cars is that you do have to build them, then you have to drive them, test them, and make sure that they're all good to go, because the last thing you want is to have weird noises, especially noises that are not very difficult to fix. You always want to make sure you fix the little small noises, because that's going to give the buyer a better feeling when they're driving the car, especially if it's an easy fix. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of it and get that new gasket on there. Alright guys, so we got the exhaust. It looks like the exhaust is broken. Small little pinhole leak there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Right there. We're going to go ahead and weld that up and fix it. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so the first thing we have to do is we're going to have to sanitize the area where we're going to weld. And what sanitize means is get rid of all the rust and any other material that is going to impede the weld from sticking to the actual metal. So you want to get off all the rust. I'm using a grinder, a sanding disc, 3 inches, and I'm just gonna clean up the area around where I'm gonna weld. This way there's no contaminants on the actual metal, and the welding stick will go ahead and weld. So go ahead and grind everything off. Safety first, always make sure you protect your eyes. Let me show you guys. You guys see how that's all brown and black? Well, the black is the soot coming from the exhaust. You see that hole there? So what ended up probably happening was that since the header sits so low, that the previous owner went over a speed bump and the exhaust hit the speed bump and it caved in the material here. But my biggest problem that I'm gonna have right now is that the material is very, very thin. So when I weld it, I have to be very careful with the way I weld it, or else I'm gonna just keep burning holes in it. So when I go ahead and set up my settings on my welder, I'm gonna put it at a very, very low heat setting so that it doesn't burn through the rest of the material, because this stuff is very, very thin already. So let's go ahead and weld it up. The worst thing about being tall is that I have to duck my head every time I get underneath the car, especially when I weld. It sucks. No big deal. But one thing you guys have to remember is you want to clean off the tips off your welder, or else it won't weld very well. Alright guys, now that we have it all welded up, I'm going to go ahead and spray down the area where I welded with some black paint so it doesn't rust. Make sure you do the same thing where you grind it down for the ground. It's very important, or else you're going to have a rusty undercar. Alright guys, so I got all the exhaust welded up. Unfortunately, I still have an exhaust leak, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove the header. Well, I already removed it. This is the old gasket here. You can see that it is a little bit burnt up. It's blown out right there. So we're gonna go ahead and replace it. We got some new gaskets coming in, so we're gonna go ahead and put a new one in. Pretty easy to do. It's not really that hard to reach, to be honest with you. All I needed was a 7/16 wrench and my 1/4 7/16, and I was able to get in there. So no big deal. All right, now all I gotta do is put on the spark plugs and we should be able to start it up, no problem. Sounds pretty good. I think we got it. Definitely fixed it. I don't hear that little tick anymore. I'm gonna take it for a quick test drive to make sure, but I think it's good. Let's take it for a spin and see what happens. Do it again. Just fuck around, move around.
It's go time! Yeah, guys, today I'm talking about this ratchet. Yeah, see this guy?
Think that. Again. Just fuck around, move around.
It's go time! Go time!